Coming to you from the LoadingReadyRun orbiting underground moon base, it is the LRRcast.
Hey.
Yeah.
This
Welcome.
Is a combination we've never done before.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've ever LRRcasted with you.
I don't think I've ever been in the same room as Cam before.
No,
This
hi.
is new. Hi.
I'm Cameron.
I'm Heather. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
That's good.
And this is
I'm Beej.
Beej.
You can ignore him.
I'm just watching Cameron touch my wife.
Yeah. So
This is why
That's a treat for the people listening to it on audio.
This is why I don't take you places anymore.
So as you may be able to tell from this cast of characters, we're completely devoid of ideas.
Yeah.
Not quite. We're doing an AskLRR this week. So we have solicited questions from you, the viewers, on Twitter, and we are going to try to, we have collected your cues, and we are going to try to A them over the next 45 minutes to an hour.
Sweet. Who has the questions?
Paul has the questions.
I have the questions. So there's a bunch of questions here. There's some specific questions for certain people that we won't do. There's some wrestling questions that I feel like maybe
take a
aren't
stab
quite
at it.
applicable.
I agree.
I can
that
make up stuff.
I am completely prepared to take an answer. We can turn
All
this
right.
into a sidewalk slam. Some sort of sidewalk slam.
All right, let's start with at Necrovale, who asks, "What is a piece of advice you wish someone had given you years ago?"
Buy Apple stock.
Yeah.
That's my pat answer.
Ooh.
Every time I'm on Mitomo and it says,
Ooh.
"What do you wish you could say to yourself from 10 years ago?" And I'm like, buy Apple stock. I had the money. I should have just done it.
Yeah, exactly. You look at it, you look at Apple stock 10 years ago, and you're like, there's no way it could go higher than this.
Yeah, yeah.
It's way too expensive.
Now, having said that, I have time to come up with an actual answer. Anybody else?
Don't listen to your parents.
Oh, that's a good one.
I mean, it sounds mean because I know parents are generally. I assume most people's parents are well intended, that they want you to go and do good things. But I don't think I should have gone to my first year of college. And I only went because my parents seemed to think I should really go to college right away.
Yeah, I think that's actually kind of relevant. I mean, our parents all grew up in a very different world, as it turns out. Like, you look at the way science fiction has changed in the last 50 years,
Okay.
right? And you realize that the actual social and technological changes that our society has experienced in that time frame have way outstripped people's imaginations.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, like, I imagine a lot of prior generations' advice around, like, how to find a job and what kind of education to get and
Because you're going to grow into
what to do
X
with your
job.
money,
Yeah.
right? Has actually become obsolete faster than anyone has really come to grips with yet. I mean, a lot of parental advice is very well intentioned, and
Yeah.
like a lot of it is still useful. Like, you know, wash your hands after you use the bathroom and do dishes early and
Eat
often.
your vegetables.
Yeah.
Like, they're
Don't
good
take the
things.
first offer anybody gives you
Yeah.
on a
But,
loan.
but it's
Yeah,
just
exactly.
sometimes those good intentions, like I often hear it when people are just starting going into school and they're like, oh, you need to specialize. You should be this thing right now because we need a lot of those. And I'm like, but will they in 4 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's funny because it's like there was this sense that we had no reason to feel like what was going to happen in the world was going to be any different than what had been happening for the last 50 years for our parents.
Yeah.
Because they had been living this entire time and they'd been like, well, you know, we're into our 40s and 50s now and we've seen what's happened over the last little while in the world. We've seen the technological uptake and all that kind of stuff. So you should, you know, though everything keeps growing in the same way and it hasn't stopped for this amount of time, so, you know, you should feel free to take our advice. We know what we're doing. And then until they didn't.
Yeah.
Until other people's worst impulses got the better of them and screwed over everybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, the ability to kind of anticipate how the world is going to change has outstripped the ability of people whose job it is to be really imaginative and weird.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
So I guess
So-
it shouldn't be a surprise that it's like the people who live a very normal existence would have no idea what was coming.
Yeah.
And then thus, it sucks because it feels like I'm saying, the boomer generation left our generation unprepared for what was about to come. But let's be honest, they kind of did.
Well, and also they couldn't have done a whole lot to prepare us for it either.
Exactly.
And there's nothing wrong with like education. Like I don't fault my parents for wanting me to
No,
get
yeah.
more education, but I knew I shouldn't go to college that year. I went anyway, and I'm like, should not have listened to my parents. Should not have done it.
Yeah. Okay. So there's
Did you have one? Because I think I came up with an actual one.
my advice to my younger self would be trust your first impressions of people. You actually have reasonably good intuition for that kind of thing.
Oh, nice. That's really good advice, actually.
Yeah.
I would say love is work. I read that the other day. I was watching a thing. I actually didn't watch it. I read the little description. Like somebody wrote an article about this, and the idea was essentially that any relationship that you're in, whether it's a love relationship or a friend relationship or whatever, they require a certain level of work. And so you have to remember that the bill of goods that were being sold by Disney and by anybody who's making any sort of film that has a romantic whatever in it,
Right.
we're being told, you were told from birth that one of you is the prince and one of you is the princess, and then you will find each other and it will just frickin' work.
Yeah.
You know, and you won't have to worry about it, and you won't have to, there won't be like differences of opinion, and you won't have all these other things going on. And I grew up in a household, my parents loved each other. They still love each other. And, that's very easy for me to believe. It's like, oh, look, these two people found each other, and it was great, and it was wonderful,
Yeah.
and they had 2 kids, and they love me, and whatever. And so it's like, so that's the same thing. It'll be like, I'll go out and I'll point it at a girl and I'll be like, that is the girl for me. And she'll be like, yes, I am. How'd you know? And then that will work out. And it's like, that didn't happen for quite some time. I had to go through repeated instances. And then you finally get to a point where it's like, well, it's not the same relationship. And getting married is also like not the same relationship as you expect it to be from watching a frickin' movie, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's
different.
It's like in Princess Bride when he says, life is suffering and anyone who tells you otherwise is selling something. Right? Or like, Sartre's No Exit. Hell is other people.
So that's the piece of advice. Life is suffering.
Hell
Yeah.
is other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
All
good.
right.
And love is work, and love should be work. And that's fine.
Well,
that's,
there's a song lyric that kind of stuck with me from a Massive Attack song
yeah.
where it just says love is a verb.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's actually really good.
Yeah.
Shit. I'm going to remember that from now on. Thank you, Cam.
All right. At Poindexter109 asks, what is your favorite place you have visited or vacationed to?
Japan.
Yeah, Japan was rad.
They have a Kit Kat store in Narita Airport now.
No, it's not in Narita Airport.
Is it?
It's a 15-minute drive from Narita Airport, not towards Tokyo.
Still a Kit Kat store.
It's just a Kit Kat premium store.
Store
Well,
full of Kit Kat.
I think they just said it was an artist rendering. Currently, like they're making it. So
I
all they
don't
have is a
care.
render
There's
of
a
it. This
Kit
is
Kat
what it's going to
store
look like.
coming,
But now
and
there's...
I assume they're going to hoard all the Kit Kats.
Yeah.
At least
Have-
all the flavors.
So your favorite place in Japan is specifically the Kit
Kit
Kat
Kat
store
store.
near the airport.
Yeah.
No, I liked Kyoto.
Kyoto was
Probably the
amazing.
best, but
Hiroshima was a trip, though I didn't
Yeah.
expect it to be the way that it was, because upon something about Hiroshima felt very Western, which was weird because every other place we went felt very modern, obviously, but also
Right.
I got this sense of this is a very, this is how I've always seen Japan because I've been watching anime where they draw stuff in Kyoto and draw stuff in Tokyo, and
Right.
and then
yeah.
you watch
we
movies
did a
where
bit of
they-
the anime tour where we went and found the shrines.
yeah, we did those kind of things. And you go to Hiroshima and it's like, this is not the same kind of town. It feels differently. It's a coastal town. And then they had something very terrible happen to them as well, which means they had to rebuild a whole bunch of stuff, which meant
Right.
feels a lot more modern. But things like, they have a trolley. Was it a trolley or was it a bus? Or I think it was a trolley that runs through like the middle of downtown, like in Calgary with a C
that was
train
a
runs through
trolley.
downtown. This is the same kind of thing. It was like a trolley bus type thing on tracks. And to me, that felt very European. I was like, I've never seen this kind of thing before. And then on the one hand, we went to the Genbaku Dome and we went to the Hiroshima Peace Museum, And that was a kick in the gut because we had to get rushed through it because they were closing for the night. So you just kind of get inundated with all this
Yeah.
shit, not really a lot
Pro
Right.
to
tip,
process.
don't go visit a museum an hour before it's closing.
And then another night, we went to go watch Japanese live theater that was like all women doing like, and we're like 15 people in the audience. We were among 15 people in like a room that hold maybe 60 or 70, and it was just this like, it was like being dragged in like so many directions in this one town.
Right.
And it was really cool. And I mean, I don't know if I'd go back there or not. If I had to go back to Japan, like, do you want to go there? And I'm like, hell yeah, we'll go back there again. I think that would be a great experience. But it was a very emotionally tumultuous time during Christmas too, is when we went.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Right.
a different time period might be,
Yeah,
time of year might be a good time to
pretty
go.
cool. How about you?
I actually haven't had the opportunity to travel very much in my life because for most of my 20s, I lived in a little northern town in northern BC called Prince George, which adds about $800 to the cost of traveling anywhere.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, yeah. it
So
would.
like you kind of live in this potential energy well where just getting to Vancouver costs as much as most people's vacations do.
Right, yeah.
So that was kind of like a huge barrier to entry for me. And now that I don't live in Prince George anymore, I'm dirt poor because I'm a perpetual student. So
but you did
my-
get to go
my-
to San Antonio.
yeah, San Antonio was pretty cool. I mean, like the problem is I get to travel to a lot of places for business, and usually wind up being in the tourist sump.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really get to go and explore the city much.
Yeah, but some of the places that I've really enjoyed visiting have actually been in like Western Canada. Like I really enjoy Tofino and Ucluelet
I've never been.
on the island
Okay.
here. They're you know they're overrun with surfers, but they're very pretty, and you can go to Clayoquot Sound, which is a park that is deep in the rainforest, and there are trees that are like big. I don't know if
Yeah.
you've seen big trees before, but they're big, and they're very large, and it's
I mean,
not
not naturally.
typical.
My dad's
Yeah.
a logger, so I've seen pictures of the
Yeah.
cut down ones.
Yeah, and like Clayoquot Sound was the source of like a lot of protests in the 80s.
Yeah, I remember that.
Late 80s, right? Because going there and looking at it, I could see how loggers would be like,
Cut it all
please,
down.
yeah, this
Yeah.
is good. That's
Oh,
that's
no,
real
they have-
good.
they have,
That's,
like,
yeah,
size
I can see
competitions.
that. I want that.
I see every dollar sign.
But these are large. And the other place that I've enjoyed going to has been, I went to a friend's wedding at Kananaskis,
Oh, yeah.
which is another park on the eastern side of the Rockies, on the Alberta side,
Yeah, yeah.
near Calgary. And again, mountains are big. Like you spend a lot of your time in the city or in like, you know, kind of the scrubland. And then you go and actually see landscapes, and they're large, and they make you think about things, and they make you feel things, and it's weird. So eventually, I'd like to go and see places that actually have like, you know, the Rockies are fine, but they're kind of casual tier mountains, right?
Yeah.
Like you could go see like the Himalayas,
Yeah, yeah.
and they would probably like have the same effect, only larger. And I want to see if it scales linearly or if it like tops out.
well,
I like that idea.
It's actually, because it's funny you bring that up because, I mean, I grew up in Alberta, and my parents love to camp. And by that, I mean like travel trailer.
Okay, yeah,
Right, so,
yeah.
which is very comfortable. And so we would be out doing that like every long weekend. We would always be out camping, and they were members of the Kinsman Club, and that also meant we were out like traveling to all sorts of different places for meetings and stuff, and that meant that we were bringing the trailer and camping in all these different places. And that also meant a lot of times it was like, oh, we're going to take a vacation. We're going to Fort Walsh for a vacation, which
Okay.
is like one of those like, it's a fort. It was a functioning fort way back in the day, and now it is a tourist trap. Enticed, like the idea is to bring you there, and it's like an interpretive center. It's like we're going to talk about
Okay.
what used to go on in the Old West in Alberta.
Yeah, and you
right?
can watch us churn butter and shit.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
All that stuff kind of happens. So we'd go to places like that, and I did a lot of that from like age 6 to like age 15. It felt like we were always going somewhere and doing those kind of
Right.
things. So I grew up with all of that, and we would go into Banff, and we would go into these places, and then during university, the same thing. It was like, my buddies would be like, we're going to go to Johnson Canyon in the Rocky Mountains near Banff. It's like, we're going to do this now, and then we're going to go climb this mountain. We're not going to climb a mountain. We're going to take the gondola up and stuff.
Right.
I grew up doing so much of that I feel like I assumed that was every kid's normal experience, is that every kid had a family that would do all of that shit, and I grew up jaded from all of it.
Right.
We drove from Medicine Hat to Penticton every year, twice a year sometimes, which means we always go through the Rogers Pass through the Rocky Mountains. We always got to see Rocky Mountains. I fucking hated the Rocky Mountains.
Yeah.
You can't stop and you can't do anything for
like,
hours.
I would travel with my mother to Saskatchewan to visit her family,
Right.
or my family, and we would go through the Rockies necessarily. And I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
Sure, I'm 7 years old and I've been driving through the Rocky Mountains for my entire life, and you don't get to really stop though.
Yeah, you just go
Right?
by them.
But when you do, it's a very different experience. And like I did a lot of outdoor stuff when I was a kid. Like I was a Cub Scout and a Boy Scout for like 5 years. So we went out and camped, and the entire experience of being at a scout camp is you go and like you pitch a tent, you sit around a campfire, and you roast hot dogs, and you do annoying little kid shit.
Yes.
And you never get to like look up really, because everyone is like, well, now we have to go learn how to do a compass or build a lean-to or fight a bear or
Learn
do
some
something.
knots.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
you never really get any kind of alone time
Yeah.
to
yeah.
think about things and look at things.
Yeah, I'm just recalling all the Girl Guide trips I was on. Yeah, you never get alone time.
Yeah.
You get some time where you get to, that's not scheduled to do a thing, but everybody has to.
Dude, then you're just kind of
Hang
farting
out.
around because everyone's like, well,
We watch movies
we're here to
generally.
play and whatever. I mean, I was in Boy Scouts as well, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but like the entire experience with those scout trips seemed to be, it's very important not to let kids have any
Freedom?
or any time to think about what's going on around them. Just keep them occupied.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, they'll get, I don't know.
Well, you
Homesick,
know.
I think, was the big problem,
Yeah.
actually.
Oh,
No, I
really?
could see
I would have thought it's the whole idle hands thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, there were those
If
kids,
you leave a kid alone, they'll go start a forest fire. You
which
can't have
happened
that.
at one of my scout camps because there was free time, and the American scouts who were up visiting decided they wanted to go start fires in the forest, and then we had a forest fire.
Did you learn how to prevent forest fires after that?
Well-
That seems like how that ends.
That was a funny experience. That was during the Gulf War too, so they kept thinking that you're from another country, so you're the enemy.
That sounds pleasant.
This is a really weird. This is Gulf War I, 1991, right?
Wow.
This is a very weird experience. That really crystallized my view of Americans. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, guys. All of our fans are out there who are American, but that really had a profound effect on me at the time.
All right. Well.
All right. Next question.
Yeah, moving on.
This is
Please give us money.
slightly relevant, I guess. This is with Loading Ready Run, us working together for a long period of time. R4V5 asks, how do you work with so many people without wanting to kill each other?
Who says we
Alcohol.
don't?
I'm sure we want to kill each other at certain times.
We have the benefit, though, like the three of us being contractors.
Yeah,
right?
I only come in like 3 times a week. 4 times
Exactly.
a week,
Yeah,
maybe.
3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Sometimes I'm on my own, so
Yeah.
I like working with everybody here, and it's so like you don't really have time to get sick of everybody because you're not in everybody's space all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And there's one day a week where we are all here, right? And usually we're quite busy, so we are moving along at a clip, and nobody's like getting on your nerves at all,
Yeah.
right? Because I mean that's going to happen with any kind of place where there are other people,
Yeah.
and that isn't a reflection on those people at all. It just means that like when you work with other people, you take what they do well for granted, and what piles up are the idiosyncrasies,
Yeah.
right?
well, and we're not stuck in one. I know some people think that we all seem to live together 24/7.
Right.
That is not what happens. We're not all stuck in a room
No.
forever, except for Desert Bus.
Yeah.
So I'm sure by the end of Desert Bus, everyone's just tired and can't remember anything anyway. But and I'm sure we all have like a few gripes here and there where it's like,
Yeah.
so and so did that today, but we get over it.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
People. But literally Saturday, maybe Friday is when the most people are here, right? And after Saturday, especially if everybody's shown up that day, I'm exhausted from people.
Yeah.
But then
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't see you all again until
Yeah,
Friday.
like I come in, I see you two once or twice a week.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even though I'm in maybe 4 days a week, because our schedules don't overlap. Right?
That's right, yeah.
So I guess we have an
It's different than
Yeah.
than it is when you're working full time with people.
yeah, exactly.
Where
you know.
everybody comes in for the same time slots and the same schedules and on the same team all the time.
So
And I think it's also helpful that we're usually collaborating on something. It's not like when you're working in an office and the person at the workstation next to you, because you're in a goddamn open concept office, is listening to like trap music
yeah.
without their headphones on, and you just want to kill them.
You have that coworker
You
who
have
sits
to
next
kill
to you
them.
who just makes like a clicking noise that you notice one day.
Yeah, and they
then
tell
you're
you
like,
it's- Or they're like, the one that bothered me was always like listening to music and then telling you that it was a social thing to make the office feel more homey.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah. Yeah. The way to make the office feel more homey for me would be fill a deep freeze with bodies.
yeah.
Let's start with yours.
I've worked retail for a long time. I can tell you, constant music being around just makes people angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you never, and nobody is ever really happy with that.
So what you're saying is that you guys should not work here full time.
No.
That's what you're,
No.
or else you might kill everybody.
What I'm saying is that we have insufficient data to make this
Yeah.
judgment, right? Because we don't work full time 5 days a week. Now, if we wanted, in order for us to make that judgment, if everybody in the Patreon
Yeah.
could put in about $4,000 extra per person per month,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
we could all work here full time, and then we can report back to you and let you know how that's going.
I mean, I don't think I would want to necessarily kill anyone if I
Yeah.
worked here more often, because we don't seem to have anyone who's overly passive aggressive to everybody, or anyone who constantly blows up, or at least
Yeah.
not that I've seen. But
We already killed that person.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
so problem solved.
Yeah, we're all,
We're all decent people.
yeah.
We
And
could all tell each other to not play music without headphones on.
yeah, I can't really think of anyone who has like the tiny little obnoxious habits that drive me insane. And
Yeah.
maybe that's just a function of like, if you can't tell who the obnoxious person in the office is, it's you. So maybe it's me.
No, you're very
right?
benign. That's the thing, right?
Oh,
Like
okay.
it's
like a tumor.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like shit. Like, yeah, that's the tumor I would prefer, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I
If you
speak
got to
from
have a tumor,
experience,
if you
so.
have to have a camera, it better be benign. Next question, Paul.
question.
All right. Brady5609 asks, what is your best advice for starting a podcast?
Do it.
Actually, start it.
Yeah, start it. Be consistent with keeping it
Scheduling, yeah.
up.
Oh, and there's no need to, like, you might feel like, okay, I sat down and recorded my first episode, time to hype it. It's like, no, don't. What you do is you record your first episode, then you can release that, and record 2 or 3 or 4 more, and maybe you want to tweet about, it's like, yeah, I'm doing this thing now, but I think with a podcast it helps to have, like, get an episode out, get another episode out, and then if you start talking about it and really start pushing it at that point, people will respond because they'll be like, oh, okay, well, especially if they're not too long, it's easy for people to go, I'll go listen to the first one. I must have missed it when he announced it the first time. I'll go listen to that.
Well, and if you listen to the first episode of anyone's first podcast, not I've started my 5th podcast and here's my
Right.
first episode, but my very first episode of a podcast, very first time, the quality will be poor because chances are they don't have high-tech microphones. They're just figuring out editing. They don't know what their format of their show is going to be like yet, and that stuff evolves over time. Some people like to hype their stuff before it's even out.
Yeah.
Maybe do a few episodes, put them out if you want, because you don't have to.
Yeah.
You can do a few episodes and see if you like it. If you're enjoying it, then you should be hyping it, because that
Yeah.
enjoyment should start to show through. And quality can come later.
Right. Yeah. I would say I'm trying to think of the qualities of the podcasts that I enjoy the most, and I think it is how concise they are. and how little wasted time there is in an episode. I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. Like I listen to, kind of the stable of
Like Radiolab.
yeah, Radiolab and Visibilia. I used to listen to a CBC radio podcast called Wiretap, but that's over now. This American Life, and they're all like, the witty, interesting, like capital I. Oh, that's interesting.
Right.
Right. End
Yeah.
of comment, or end of interaction. Liberal elite. Whatever podcasts, but they are all done by people who don't fill space with ums and ahs,
Right.
and who can speak tirelessly without filler, which is something that I really admire because it's something I can't do.
Okay.
It's something that we pride ourselves here at the Loading Ready Run podcast is conciseness in what we
concision. Yeah. It only took me about 15 minutes to get that sentence out. Right.
I mean, podcasting, like, I was doing a podcast with Ian and Dan Ross, who you guys maybe have seen before, and our friend Jason Hill, who lives in Japan. We were doing a podcast called Diecast, and I got used to the idea of this was a 2-hour conversation that we would have, and then Ian might go back and cut things up with it or whatever, but he always wanted to keep it around like under 90 minutes if we could do that. But it was always a really nice long conversation that we would have, and that was kind of also, this is podcasting just kind of getting rolling for everybody is when we were
Right.
doing this. There were no real set rules, and there really aren't any set rules. But what I found is that stuff I like to listen to is generally, I like to listen to stuff that's like under a half hour. But that's my preference.
Right.
Well,
And
everybody
I will
has-
listen to stuff that's over an hour if the hosts are compelling and interesting enough to do it. But I don't listen to podcasts much anymore because all the podcasts where I find the hosts really interesting, compelling, they do almost everything. Like Merlin Mann and John Roderick doing Roderick on the Line, that is a podcast that always would go over an hour. And I don't have
anything
time or
that
interest to listen
Merlin
to
Mann
anything
is on
that's-
is almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
Which is, I find okay because I can stop. Like I hate stopping in the middle of things. So TV episodes, movies,
Yeah.
podcasts, but certain podcasts that are very conversational, so they kind of wrap back into the same thing a couple of times. As long as I'm enjoying listening to that conversation, I can pause it in the middle and come back to it.
Right.
If it's not a thing that I can do that with, it's escaping me what podcast I listen to, but the more of the intellectual podcasts,
Yeah.
I have to listen to the whole episode. But those ones also tend to be less than half an hour long.
Right.
Right.
I can't stop listening to that and come back because I will somewhere in the train of the day forget
Yeah. You
some
would
kind
lose
of
your,
detail, and they'll
Yeah.
talk about a thing and I'll be like, what? No, that doesn't make sense, and then I have to start over, and then it feels like wasted time.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
At Succult asks, what is your favorite post Fury Road action movie? I guess if you have one.
I still haven't seen Fury Road.
Really?
Yeah, but you know when
It's
it
good.
came out, so you have to.
Yeah.
But you don't like action
So
movies.
I still kind of
I
want to
guess
watch
like
that
2015,
2015
or 16.
Second half of 2015, first half of 2016. Oh, what action movies have I seen since Fury Road? I mean, I suppose Star Wars kind of counts as one.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I mean, there are explosions in it.
Yeah. Lots of stuff's
liked
going
that
on.
one.
There's lots of running.
People are excited about things.
Yeah.
It didn't make me feel tired. I liked
I
that
don't
one
know.
a
I
lot.
don't think I have a good answer for that question.
Yeah.
I definitely don't.
It's great that it's great that we're at a point where it's like Fury Road is kind of like it's a milestone.
Yeah.
It really is now. It's like something where you're like, so now that I've said that word, because if the question had been, what's your favorite action movie after, I don't know, the first half of 2015, right?
Yeah.
And you're kind of sitting here like, yeah, what would be, and then we might have come up with an answer. But the moment that you're seated with post Fury Road, it's like, well,
Yeah. After Fury Road solved it,
yeah.
right?
Do you think in a year or so there's going to be like a big glut of sort of Fury Road
Oh,
style
absolutely.
action
Like,
movies.
I was, that was the first thought I had coming out of Fury Road, was wondering what stylistic lesson the studios will not, or will mislearn from Fury Road, right? Because
Oh,
after The Matrix
yeah.
came out, we had a decade of movies with like bullet time action sequences featuring people in sunglasses and leather coats, right?
Yeah. Transformers gave us this idea of that, well, there's going to be lots of larger-than-life action that also is going to be punctuated by man on the street or shaky cam vomit mode.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't want to see that. I want to see what's going on in the movie. I don't want to have to try to figure out what's going on in the movie while I get a headache.
Yeah.
Going to be the studios are going to be like, all right, people want extremely dusty action.
Yeah.
That's what everyone wants now.
Yeah.
All right, whatever it is, the next action movie, it's just going to be dust everywhere.
Yep.
So they're making Dune finally.
Yeah. Oh God. Yes. They'll make a. Anyway. Hardcore Henry, I think, is just came out recently, and it is a. Did you ever see that movie video? We curse on the podcast. We're allowed, right? Well, it doesn't matter. I'm quoting. The name of the video is "Bad Motherfucker."
Right.
And it's all filmed
not a curse if
in
you're
first
quoting.
person,
Oh, okay.
and it's about a guy who is. He's basically it's basically Jason Statham.
Okay, right.
But
right.
it's all through his perspective, so you're seeing him punch stuff and whatever, and it's just all these stunts and stuff kind of chained together, and it's like really imaginative cutting and all these kind of things.
Right.
Well, they made a movie. They made a
okay,
feature length
right.
presentation, which I haven't seen, and I kind of want to, but also, and it's like I feel like I would feel really awkward watching this movie for like whatever amount of time because the Avatar character doesn't say anything.
Right.
Because why would they? But they are constantly interacting with other people and say, save the girl and kick the ass of all the bad guys and do the whatever.
Right.
And it's...
So it's kind of like Russian Ark crossed with Transporter.
yeah, yeah. And in fact, it is well, it's funny too is that the movie is Russian itself. I think
Oh,
the guy
okay.
who's
Huh.
directing it and a lot of people who are in it are actually Russian. And it's a hell of a ride, apparently. It is very much a roller coaster for, seeing things through this person's eyes. And I'm like, I think that got made because the music video was popular. People were like, that went viral. And then it was like, well, can this translate into a movie? And now that's
Right.
out in some theaters, some places. I think that is a very inventive idea
Yeah.
for how to do an action movie. I don't think you could do many sequels of that or,
Oh.
in fact, do another... Like, Hollywood probably couldn't grab that and say, oh, now we're going to start making stuff in the first-person action genre. I don't think that
Well,
would really
depending
sell.
on how they do it, there are people who get motion sickness from
Yeah.
Oh,
that,
yeah,
that
yeah.
camera angle. So depending on, like, if that's a popular thing, there may be a group of people who can't
Couldn't
deal
never
with that.
go,
Could
yeah.
never see those.
Next question, Paul.
All right. At Do Billy asks, so the latest Friday nights got me curious. Has any of the crew tried stand-up? Now I mean, Beej, you've done comedy on stage,
Yes.
but that's not
That's not stand-up.
It's improv. Have you done any stand-up? Anybody?
I did one
haven't.
once.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did it as part of a cosplay contest thing.
Oh.
And it was the most frightening experience ever because it was one of my first stage experiences.
Ooh.
You
How did it
actually
go?
you had like a set?
Yeah,
Okay. You
it was a very, very short set.
you got up
because
and
I could
told
only do
specific jokes.
Yeah.
Wow.
About the Mushroom Kingdom.
Huh.
Wait, no, hang on. Was that wasn't the thing that I wrote, was it?
No.
Okay. This is
No,
something
that was a
different. Okay.
sketch. This
That's
was
what I
this
thought.
was stand up. This was the first thing I did. That was a different thing.
Okay.
That was the thing I did with Heidi.
Yes.
It was very frightening, but I couldn't see anyone because the lights were so bright. And then I got off stage, and I think people laughed. I can't remember.
Do you remember any of your jokes?
Oh God, no. They're all terrible.
That's
I'm
a
sure.
safe answer, yes. I often thought about doing stand-up when I was younger. I listened to other people went and bought actual music. I would buy comedy CDs.
Right,
I
right.
loved stand-up comedy because there's something very... It's great in that it's all stand-up comedy, but everybody's... Like, people who are very well known for doing it, they all have a different form. And so I love to explore the form, and I love to see, like, I mean, growing up, because I found out as well that Bill Cosby was, like, he and I share a birthday.
Right.
So I grew up with those albums, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like,
Right.
he and I, like, this is now taking on a completely different form now. But at the time, it's like, separate the man from his work. It's like, I was really into that, and thus then also got really into a lot of comedians from around that era, and then eventually grew into, like, you know, like George Carlin and Richard Pryor.
Right,
but then
right.
It just became a thing of, I think I can do this. I'm learning so much about what everybody else is doing. And I found out that Eddie Murphy, I think he got his start when he was like 14 years old by going to comedy clubs and basically doing Richard Pryor's entire set.
Right.
And it was like, as a 14-year-old, you can do that. You could go in and you could bite someone's style completely, like,
Right.
steal all their shit and do it, because it's like in the middle of, like, I think it was Peoria or wherever it was that he grew up, but it was, or maybe that was Richard Pryor, but he would do these jokes, and I'm like, maybe I could do that. Maybe I could just take someone's set, and I could just, at like 15 years old or 16 years old, I could go in and I could just do that set and get a sense of what it's like to do this. And I thought, but if I do that and somebody knows that I'm doing all those jokes, then they'll call you on it. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. So then I start keeping a notebook and writing stuff down and being like, maybe I can come up with, like, bits and ideas and whatever.
You're not like completely wrong. Like, the idea of taking someone's stuff and trying to emulate it is how people do learn things.
Yeah.
But to try and make an actual living off of that, or to
I never
try and
could,
get paid for that, that's just outright plagiarism.
That's
Yeah.
incredibly dishonest. And I was like, that wasn't comfortable. I wasn't comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
But it had struck me. I was like, I think I can do this. I think I can make whatever. I had the notebook. I was trying to write stuff down, try and do whatever. I have now learned, like, I never ended up doing any stand-up. But I have now learned that if you're going to do it properly, the way to do it is to do, to basically lock yourself in a room and write and write and write and write and write, and be prepared to throw out 90% of your shit.
Right.
You know, like, and then finding out that, oh, comics go to open mic nights, like even Patton Oswalt and those guys, they all go to those open mic nights because they're like, I am testing new material.
Right.
Yeah.
And I need someplace where I can bomb.
Yeah, and
without real consequences.
when I saw that, like when I learned about that a few years ago, I was like, oh, okay, I thought you guys went into your room and you wrote, like, all this comedy, and you just kind of went, that's not working, so I'm throwing it out, that's not working, so I'm throwing it out.
You have to test it.
And you have to test
a
it
real
all.
audience.
You have to find out what do audiences actually respond to. And then finding out that's like, yeah, we go in because we're workshopping a joke. And so you'll hear 2 or 3 different recordings of us doing a joke, and they all come out slightly different because of the way that we tell them. That's because we're currently crafting those words. And I'm like, okay, you also realize that this has to be in front of a crowd and you have to get feedback from a crowd. I'm like, oh.
Okay.
It's a lesson I never learned when I was younger. And now
well,
having...
you would have been a behind the curtain thing you would never have been aware of.
Exactly, right?
That's why they hate YouTube cell phone videos of their practice sets.
Yeah, and I completely understand, because I'm like, writing comedy is hard.
Yeah. Okay. I had no idea.
At Joe's v. Tongaren asks, I think this question was probably meant for, like, Grammar Eye, but I'd be very curious to know this, what gear do you like the most? Or do you like the most that you use on Loading Ready Run? What like tech gear, either for doing videos or streaming or whatever? Is there any upgrade that we've got that has made your life significantly easier?
I mean, like, I boomed a lot.
Yeah.
And I think we have a good boom.
Yeah, having a good boom was really good. Getting rid of the zoom,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I thought was really a huge improvement, like just plugging directly into the camera.
Yeah. I mean, like, we currently, when I boom, and really when almost anybody booms, we're all still wearing the headphones. And the problem we have is that our headphones have a very short cord. And so we keep getting...
Extensions.
And the extensions keep falling apart, or like getting stepped on or doing whatever, and they keep turning to crap. And it's like, it's probably like, I have thought, is there a way to get the boom integrated with having, like, winding the headphone cable around it or something like that and getting everything plugged in together? I don't think there is, but it's like, yeah, having it plug in directly to the C100 is a godsend.
Yeah.
Not having to
'cause you
be
don't
like,
have
oh
to,
shit, I wasn't
coordinate.
running.
Yeah, I wasn't running, or, yeah.
That was the worst.
Yeah, having like monitoring 2 separate batteries and 2 separate cards
Yeah.
sucked.
I only noticed the gear that I really need when people try to take it away from me. So, like the time the monopod got taken away from me, I really missed it.
Oh,
Makes life so much easier. The camera's so much heavier without it.
what happened to the monopod? Sorry, what happened to the monopod?
Oh, well, like now it's fine, but during like the Rumble,
Oh,
they needed
right.
a monopod, so they took it away from me.
Right.
Or we had a weird thing happen when we went to go film that Santa crap shot of Corey walking into the sea.
Right.
And there had been a card in the camera, and then we think Alex maybe was trying to be efficient, took the card out of the camera to go do a thing, but we thought it was in there, so we were like, great, and we left.
Yeah.
No.
Like someone had checked that it
Right.
was in there, but somehow before we went, someone else took it out. So my card had to get taken away from me, which meant I had to use an iPhone.
Yeah.
Right.
An iPhone
right.
is a really good way to film LT, but if you have to keep your hands in this position
Yeah,
for
that's
a very long time, all crunched up and curled around a tiny device, even a larger phone, it hurts after a while.
Yeah. I don't know what else we've got that has made things.
My current equipment is beautiful.
Yeah.
The new lens looks really good.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's, I mean, yeah, gear wise, I can't even think of like I am happy that streaming wise that we have like I don't have to swap cables anymore for like if I want to play with the Wii, it's like I
Oh,
don't have to
yeah,
swap
that's
cables
quite
currently.
nice.
Yeah. Currently,
Um,
the current streaming setup is really transparent.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul.
So I guess the piece of gear that we most appreciate is Paul.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate.
Don't objectify me like that. All right, well, here we go. Tell us about, Jiggly Purin asks, tell us about the first time you got into a fist fight.
Okay.
Ooh.
Kindergarten. I won.
And they never bothered you again.
No, I had to write a sappy "I'm sorry" letter because I got caught. Kids get caught doing things a lot easier,
It's true.
and it wasn't a fair fist fight because I just turned around and whacked the guy. But
Oh,
I still
so
won.
you started it and ended it.
well, if you punch hard enough in the first point, then they don't get up. So yeah, you can do that.
Jesus Christ. You one punched a kindergarten.
That's a
I was in kindergarten. It was fine.
Yeah, it's funnier when I say it.
that's a good Heather quote right there.
Yeah.
If you punch them hard enough the first time, they don't get up.
Yeah. It's easy when they're in kindergarten.
Yeah.
I was in elementary school and I lost.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's never
I
fun to be on
don't
the
think I've
losing end.
ever won a fight.
I've won at least 3.
I probably actually answered this in a previous LRRcast, but I was in elementary school and it was a draw
Huh.
because I didn't tap out, and the principal got out there and broke the two of us up. I would have lost. That was coming, but I wasn't giving up.
But you didn't die before the timer ran out, so
No.
so it doesn't
Yeah.
The
count.
dude was literally like he got behind me and he had his arm across my neck and he was choking me.
Right.
But he wasn't choking me in such a way that I was losing breath. He was just choking me in a way that it hurt an awful lot.
Right.
And I was trying to get free and there was all these kids gathered around and they're all yelling. This is at the soccer posts and then the principal came out and broke the whole thing up and had us both come into the room and sit, and yeah, that was so yeah, win, lose, and draw. It was like called on account of principal, and I'm like, that's probably fine. I'll take it as a draw.
Right.
I didn't want to fight the guy, but he was getting on everyone's nerves, and for whatever reason, it fell to me. He wanted to fight me for some reason, so I said sure, because I was like, if that's what it takes, then it's I guess we fight. And I never could figure out why that came. To this day, I still can't figure out why it came to me to do it, because I wasn't like a big kid or
Right.
or like whatever. He was a big kid, and there was nobody else in like. There's other people he could have fought, and it would have been more of a fair fight. But he chose
Right.
to pick me as the one.
Have you?
No, I know how
as-
bullies work.
As someone who's done shit like that, you don't pick someone who can actually beat you up, or has a chance of beating you up.
Right. Yeah, you pick somebody who's like, well, this is going to be whatever, and I was like, well, that's fine. I was like, I guess I have to do this, and I'm taking Taekwondo, and part of the discipline of Taekwondo is that you don't throw the first punch.
Right.
You use it to defend yourself, and I was like, I'm going to defend myself, damn it. And he came at me and he threw a punch and I sidestepped, but then he immediately got behind me and he started choking me out, and I was like, I didn't even have a chance to try to kick him in the face, like,
Right.
which
Well,
I
that's
didn't
not
want.
fair.
I didn't want to anyway. I didn't want to hurt him in a way that was going to, like, be like. I just wanted to drive him off, like basically be like,
Right.
no, you want to fight me? I'm going to make it clear
Were
that if
there-
you're going to fight me, that both of us are going to get hurt.
Were there kids watching?
Yeah, lots of kids watching.
Well, it wouldn't have mattered. He had to take you out.
Yeah,
Even if it hurt him,
Yeah.
he would have had to throw you down because that would have been.
that's the mindset. Yeah,
That's how reputation works.
hero of my class for the day. So that was not so bad.
All right.
Yeah, please another question.
I like this one. To the best, Art Bigotti asks, to the best of your memory, what is the first video you remember watching on YouTube?
It was, God, I was shown a video on YouTube of somebody's house with god-awful Christmas lights set to some fucking song. And they were coordinated together, and that would have been in like 2005.
Wow.
For some reason, I want to say it was Russian.
I'm gonna assume like a cat video.
It's probably a safe
This
assumption.
seems pretty safe.
I cannot remember. I've watched so much stuff on YouTube just randomly over the years. I'm trying to think of
I mean, when
why
YouTube
I
first
might
came
have.
out, sharing stuff like what Cam saw
Yeah.
was the thing that people shared.
Well, we were all
Yeah.
doing Napster and shit, right? Like, it was like all the file sharing and stuff we were doing was intended, like, I mean, I didn't have broadband. So any sort of stuff I was getting for most of my internet life was on dial-up. And then YouTube came out, or it must have been, YouTube must have come out after I graduated university, which meant that then I was, the hell was I doing?
You would have seen something dumb.
I-
It would not have been of high grade.
It would have been a thing where it's like, oh yeah, go click here to go watch a thing on YouTube, and I would have been like, I don't know what it would have
It
been.
could have been a screamer.
You know what would have been
Those were
amazing?
popular for
Yeah,
a while.
that might have been what it was, is something stupid like that. Though what would be amazing is if you could actually go back through your YouTube account and be like, well, we have your history. We have
I
your
wouldn't have
whole
even
history.
had a YouTube account at that time.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you just go and you watch. You don't have to set up an account to watch anything.
Right.
Wow, I don't know what it would have
There
been.
are gonna be some people whose first YouTube video will have been a thing they saw in a classroom because they weren't quite old enough to have a computer in the house to see something dumb
Right.
or to see a Minecraft video or whatever, but their teacher will have set it up as part of their presentation.
It's a very small. That's a very small window, in fact.
Oh,
Like, that's
yeah.
like a hair's. Like that's
Like
like,
there
a cat's
will
whisker.
be some people who probably
Yeah, who were
fall
like
under that.
YouTube, and then they watch the video like, oh wow.
Because I remember when YouTube videos started popping up in my high school classroom stuff.
Wow.
Paul?
All right. Well, here's a question, sort of a combo question from two people. So Foxmar320 asks, what were you scared of when you were a kid? And Greg the Terrible expands on that and says, and are you more or less afraid of that now?
When I was a kid, the first thing I really remember being scared of, like profoundly scared of, was after having read a novelization of Alien I found somewhere. That was really scary, and what frightened me was, I guess, which is perfectly natural, and that probably just contextualized it for me, was the dark. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
big surprise, afraid of the dark. And no. No, the dark is fine. The dark is actually quite nice now.
Yeah, that's good.
I can move through it, and I don't get eaten by anything, though occasionally I hit my shin on things, which is arguably worse. So, yeah, like there's that Lovecraft line about, being afraid of the unknown, and I suppose that's the quality of the dark, right? Is that you have no idea what's in it, so your mind fills it with whatever could possibly be in it. And I don't even know if the monster I imagined in the dark had, like, if I could have ever described it to you,
Oh, yeah.
right? Or if it was just,
Formless horror.
yeah.
Actually, do you want to go first?
I mean, mine falls pretty much under cams. I was afraid of the dark.
Ah.
To the point where, like, I always had the hall light on, but the room I was in, the hall light created a weird reflection off of this weird snow white light thing we had in the ceiling, and it made it look like there were eyeballs off of the window,
Well.
which frightened me even more, and I didn't know where they came from.
Huh.
And of course, every time your parents come in to check on you when you're freaking
Yeah,
out
it-
about a thing, they turn the lights on.
And they go
so,
away.
So it goes away.
Right. Right.
So I was scared of the dark and of the things that were not in the dark.
So the answer to that is that if our kid, whenever we have a kid, is freaking out about something in the dark, the thing is to go into the room while it's dark and start.
Well, no,
and
you should
calm
turn
them
the light
down.
on, but you probably should recreate the actual.
Experience.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And
so
be
you can
there
share
with
it with
them.
them.
But like that clearly I'm not afraid of because we figured out the reflection thing eventually. The dark, I'm not so much afraid of the dark as the things that I hear go bump, if I can't identify what that is.
It's fair.
Right.
Because a bump in your house in the middle of the night could mean like it could mean something fell over, or it could mean someone's breaking in,
Right.
and that's not particularly a pleasant thought to have in the middle of the night.
No.
No.
When I woke up in the morning, my parents would be dead.
Oh, I had that one too.
That went on for months.
Huh.
I couldn't fight that,
Right.
but it meant that I didn't want to go to bed.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
the moment you go to bed and then you fall asleep, when you wake up in the morning, one of your parents will be dead.
Did you have the
Right.
dreams too?
No dreams.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what. And the thing is, that wasn't like, I wasn't 5. I was 12. Like, I was in grade 6. I
Right.
was getting 90% in, like, all of my classes. I was having a great time. I was
You
doing
were
whatever.
old enough to know that you were crazy, so you didn't want to tell anyone.
Yes.
Right.
That's worse.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, yeah.
That was exhausting because I couldn't shake it, no matter how much I knew it was bullshit. What actually ended up helping is because my parents knew I couldn't sleep. I was having a terrible time. I was doing whatever, all the stress and whatever else. And I also had to dust and vacuum part of the house as part of my chores, right? And so I was dusting their room one Sunday, and there's a book on my mother's nightstand that was Solving Your Child's Sleep Problems. And I looked at that and thought, oh wow, like I can't, like they can't figure out what to do.
Right.
Because I can't tell them what's wrong because I know it's stupid and I don't want to
Right.
feel like I'm crazy. But I saw that and it crystallized the moment, and I was like, they can't figure out what to do and I can't figure out what to do, but I'm making it really hard on them and they can't figure it out. And I never had that problem ever since. Ever since seeing that book, never had the problem ever again. And the thing is, I'm not scared of that now. Right?
Right.
That doesn't bother me now. What scares, so it's like less scared, not scared at all. What scares me now is, and I've said this in Mitomo as well, someone unknown in my space. I can't, and that extends to the outside of my house. Like if I'm sitting at home and it's nighttime and I'm watching a movie or whatever, and I glance over at the window because I'm an idiot, and I see a face in my window, it's fucking on.
Yeah.
Like it's like okay, what I have to do is wet my pants, and I have to grab something, and I have to scream at the top of my lungs,
Right.
and everything ends tonight.
You or I or both must fall.
Right. I can't take it. I cannot take somebody, like the threat of something is about to happen to you.
Right.
And I can't deal with it like frickin' when we were playing Let's Nope in the old moon base, and the lights went out in the moon base, and I was like, the thing I thought is, I'm like, at least I'm here with Alex. We can do this together.
Right.
You know, we
Nice.
know that someone's fucking with us, but even if someone's not fucking with us, the two of us are going to do whatever it takes
Yeah.
to end what's going on.
So James is your favorite person, is what you're saying.
But if I was by myself, I wouldn't know how I would have been able to deal with it. I
Right.
can't deal with that kind of thing. It's like, you are in my space, and you need to get the fuck out of my space. So, There, a little secret for everybody who's...
I like how you say, "Oh, I've said this on Mitomo," as if everybody can read your Mitomo.
Yeah, but it's just like I've put it out there
Right.
even too. It's like I've said this now before. Now I'm comfortable talking about it. So
Is actually related to that. John Bunday asks, "What is your favorite streaming moment?" I can probably guess James's favorite streaming moment.
Yeah, he wasn't even on camera.
And I think that'll probably be our last question. So
The Big Dilly Bar has been really
Yeah,
my
that
most
was fun.
recently.
Yeah, that's
I
been
think
pretty
my
good.
favorite streaming moment was doing the stinger at Desert Bus 7.
Oh yeah,
I like doing that.
that was great.
Yeah. I got to eulogize Desert Bus 7.
Yeah.
I suppose that, I hope that qualifies as streaming. I would think so.
I think so.
Still technically streaming.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're probably looking for something more from your personal stream. But
I mean, you had Fly and Explosion just recently.
yeah, my Nuzlocke's been full of great ones. Like, because the third one was the third episode where I lose like 3 Pokemon all in one go, and I'm supposed to die. I really should have died, but I made it out. And I was so tense by the end of that. I was super happy the stream was over, but it was like interesting to experience all that.
Right.
But yeah, I'm fighting the Elite Four right now, and I don't have any type advantage for a lot of the things I'm fighting. So I've been lucking out of a lot of things, and there was a Pokemon who showed up who has Explosion, where it just essentially just self-destructs.
Okay.
And kills itself, but it takes you down with it. And everyone's like, oh, you're effed.
Right.
Who? And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I will fly because I think that's the biggest attack I can do. And my Pokemon went up in the air, and then he exploded. And my Pokemon was up here, so it couldn't get touched. And it was like, the end. You're dead now.
Ha.
I got away.
Idiot.
Worked out.
So it just whiffed on its self-destructing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man, that's got to feel bad. Well, I mean, briefly, I suppose.
Yeah.
I guess you wouldn't know about it, really.
That Let's Know where Alex and I had a freak out was fantastic. And I think other than that,
You didn't like having the 3D girlfriend
the 3D girlfriend?
when Alex was playing the 3DS game that you brought?
Oh, yeah, and she was on.
He kept putting 3D girlfriend on top of you.
No, it didn't do anything for me. I think more it's like when you have a triumph or tragedy. And for example, in like Prince of Persia Warrior Within, the first game that I'm streaming on stream, and we get all the way to the end. I think it's the first game I'm streaming on stream, if we don't count Endless Ocean. But I get all the way to the end, and I can't go in the sand column to take me to the final battle. And somebody says, oh yeah, apparently that's a glitch in the game. You play all the way through to near the end, you're about to go to the final battle, and sometimes you can't, the column doesn't pick you up, and that's because of a glitch that happens in the save game.
Ages
Don't worry,
back.
it happened hours ago. Whenever you saved, that glitch has happened, and so now you're effed, and you can't finish the game.
it was sort of a combination of triumph and tragedy.
Ubisoft quality. This happened actually the other day. We were playing the Two Thrones, Prince of Persia: The Two
Right.
Thrones, and I went to go stab my knife into one of the
yeah.
sand beacons.
No, you need to. He spent almost an hour trying to figure out how to take these guys down.
Yeah, couldn't figure it out.
Dying over and over.
And
Finally
then
got
finally we
there.
figured it out. Heather figured out what it was, and I was like, okay, great. So we did it, and I'm like, okay, great. And I stabbed the thing into it, and it says, you have gained 100 sand credits because it's a thing. And then as soon as that happened, it went black to fade into back to the scene, and it went black, and it just hung there.
Stayed black, and we just stared at
And I
the
was
screen.
like, is this where I abandoned Prince of Persia, the third game? Like, is that what happens? And no, we didn't have to. We just rebooted and
Right.
started again. But I was like, Jesus Christ, if this... And I was hoping, like, please happen again because it would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
And
that's
it
the
didn't.
thing.
We kept
when
going.
when you went back and you made it through again and you stabbed the thing again, and like, is this where it just? Is this where the game just is broken forever?
Because apparently in the PC version of this game, there's also another game-breaking bug. But the
Right.
GameCube version, nobody knows. So we might find out.
Well, like, I guess my personal triumphant, like, streaming moment was beating XCOM Enemy Unknown on like Impossible Iron Man on stream
Oh, nice.
for my home save, and having it crash during the end cinematics, so I couldn't get the Chivo like repeatedly over and over again. And like, there's a quote in the database where I'm just like, when they said impossible, I didn't think they actually meant that it just wasn't actually possible to complete.
That's like the worst thing for most gamers. The fact that you did a thing but can't prove that you did it.
Yeah, there's no Chivo, and like, you can see me beat the final boss on stream.
But the cinematic crashes every time.
I like that that all of your favorite, all three of you, your favorite moments are moments of triumph followed by tragedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we should just we should just cut the piece of that movie out and just send it to Firaxis and say, can you do something about this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the dizzying highs, the nauseating lows, the
manually
creamy middles.
fire the Chivo. All right. Well, I think that's we got. Sorry if we missed your question, but there are many, many questions, and we don't have time for all of them. But thank you guys very much for answering them all.
Yeah.
All right, and so thank you for joining us on the LRRcast. As with all of our podcasts, this podcast is brought to you by you, the viewer, who support us on our Patreon at www.patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. If you like this content, please consider supporting us there. If you do support us, thank you very much.
We
hope that
enjoy
you,
eating.
Yeah, we enjoy providing this content for you. So, yeah, until next week, thank you for joining us on the LRRcast, and we will see you in the future.
Bye.
Bye.